Olá a todos, hoje vamos ter conversa um pouco diferente, em línguas diferentes, com o pessoal que veio diretamente de Israel. Estão comigo hoje o Moshe Shema, que ele é um coronel do exército de Israel, e 2 soldados que participaram na guerra em Gaza, 2 soldados feridos que vão contar um pouco da história deles. Vamos hoje ver um pouco do lado humano dessa guerra e algumas opiniões sobre a situação atual que estamos enfrentando. Moshe Shema, welcome. Amitay, welcome. Erez, welcome. First of all, thank you being here with us today. I hope that we can clarify a little bit about the current situation in Israel and to hear about your both story a little bit to show the human part of this war and not only the parts that people are listening from a lot of people that have interest or political interest, and we would like to give them a little bit about the real information and what is happening really in the day-by-day situation in Israel and with this war that we would like that it will end as soon as possible. Moshe Shema, that is the CO also of Beit Halochem, a colonel in the Israeli army. And we will start with you, Moshe, a little bit to give us about your view on the current situation, what is the situation with the war, where we are going to, what are your predictions on the near future, the next days, weeks, and if we have any way of going out of this situation. So, welcome.
I will try to give you some answers. I will say something like that. It's not a war between Israel and the Palestinians. It's not a war between Israel and the Hamas or the Jihad. It's a war between the evil and the good. It's a war between the Western world, the entire Western world, and the other world, with the dictators and so on and so on. Israel is part, I would say a central part, in the Western world. And we should see this situation in a very wide spectrum. Okay? But when Israel is fighting now, on a tactical point of view even, in Gaza, the strategic point of view is the global one. It's very worldwide. Why is that? First of all, you can see it immediately by the way that most of the Western world support Israel in this war. Okay? It makes sense. What doesn't make sense, that there are some countries in the Western world that support Hamas. And it's very surprised everyone how they can even think about it. The problem with the Western world now, that I will quote somebody else who said that the Western world will support Israel when she needs to defend itself, but they will not let her win the war. Okay, there is a huge difference between those two segments. Okay, and this is a very, I would say, a diplomatic or geopolitical problem for us. You can see what's happened in Hague. Okay, in the court in Hague. Instead of blaming the Hamas, they are blaming Israel that's protect itself. So this is the problem with the Western world, which I'm not going to speak about anymore because it's much more, I would say, complicated to analyze it now. Regarding Gaza, while I was in the reserve, I was the commander of the refugee camp in Gaza, Jabalia, Khan Yunis, Shati, whatsoever. So I know quite well the situation in Gaza itself. Now, Gaza is a very complicated area. not just by the geographical point of view, but from the human being too. 2.2 or 2.3 million people in a very narrow area, and the army or the IDF need to have a war inside a civilian population, which makes it very, very difficult for us because we are a democratic country, as you know. So we need to have some, like everybody else, our rules, how to, not to defend the civilian, but not to harm them or not to touch any, those from the civilians who are not involved in the war. In Gaza, it's more complicated because even the civilians are heavily involved with the Hamas. So there is a mix between them. Nothing is pure over there. There is no pure in Gaza. And you can see it in October the 7th, how the population in Gaza celebrate when they murdered babies in Israel. So it's, for a regular man, you will be astonished how somebody can think about something like that. I will speak a little bit about the war itself now in Gaza. I think that after October the 7th, it was a huge failure. We must admit it, because if we wish to improve ourselves, we need to identify the problems that we had in October the 7th. But since then, IDF is fighting very well. I can see it all the time, not just from the TV or the media. We can see it all over. Still, if you will ask other, let's say, even generals who are very involved in Gaza, they will tell you that we did some mistakes even during the war. For example, why we didn't start immediately with Rafiah 2? Why we did it just from north to south? Okay? Why not from both sides, and so on and so on? Now, there are a lot of a lot of thinking in every step. Why you are doing plan A and not plan B. I'm not sure that the IDF had the whole plan in October the 7th regarding Gaza, okay? But anyway, even if I will take it out, the war now from a military point of view is doing well, okay? We're sitting in Gaza, the Philadelphia route is in our control, and so on and so on. I think the Hamas is, I don't want to put numbers, but let's say 80% destroyed, okay? But still they have a power.
Tell us about Philadelphia way there, because some people don't know what about we are talking about.
Okay, I will say something like that. Gaza is a strip, okay? In the north, it's 10 kilometers wide, then it's 40 kilometers long. In the south, in the border with Egypt, okay, it's 14 kilometers. This is the Philadelphia Road. We call it as a code. It's an Israeli code, the Philadelphia Road. Now, but this is the border between Gaza and Egypt. Okay? Now, most of the weapon that came to Gaza was from tunnels behind this road, okay? Because they brought them from Egypt, okay, to Gaza. This is why Gaza was so heavily, with the guns and rockets and explosives, whatever you want, like a real army. Okay, so this is very difficult if you cannot control the Philadelphia Road. Then, if you will withdraw from this road, they will immediately. It's a matter of day. They will start again to bring weapons from Sinai, from Egypt, back to Gaza, to the Hamas. So this is the importance of this Philadelphia Road, which I think that Israel will make a huge mistake if we will withdraw from this point. Now there is a problem with it, because by the peace agreement with Egypt, in 1979, in this agreement there is a paragraph that said that Israel cannot put army in Philadelphia Road, okay, tanks or cannons whatsoever. So now it's a little bit complicated how to handle this situation, because of course the Egyptian will not allow us to bring a regular army on a permanent basis to Philadelphia. We need to be there because we don't want any ammunition go through Egypt to Gaza. This is the complexity.
What's the Egyptian idea for the future, because for them it's also not such a good situation to have this kind of explosions in this region all the time. And I believe that also for them it's a lot of smuggling of weapons and even drugs and other things that we have in this area. What do you think that the government of Egypt wants truly?
Well, it's a very, I would say, it's very hard to answer because I don't want to get into the Egyptian mind. But I will say something like that. When President Sadat signed a peace agreement with Israel, he himself didn't want to take Gaza for himself. Nobody wished to control Gaza, okay? Nobody. Not Israel, not Egypt. So, because of that, Egypt need to be very careful because they don't want the Gaza people or even terrorists come from Gaza to Sinai, to Egypt. Okay, Sinai belongs to Egypt, as you know. I think that there is even some kind of economical perspective in this, because when you smuggling weapons and ammunition from Egypt to Gaza, somebody earn money from that, okay? That's why I said that there is nothing pure in Gaza. I think that the Egyptians themselves, they don't know what is the best solution. Nobody knows, even Israel. The best solution is to isolate Gaza, to let them control themselves, but we saw what's happened. The Hamas, instead of putting the money in the civilian, he put the money or invest the money in the tunnels and the ammunition, that's it. It's catch-22.
Yes, a difficult situation. Let me, if we are talking a little bit about Gaza, Erez, tell me a little bit about your experience there. How do you feel when you were there inside? You are in a war, and in the other side you see civilians, you see people living there or having to leave home and to do other things, and from the other side you don't know who is your enemy, and you can be surprised in any minute, any second, as afterwards you will tell us a little bit about what happened.
First of all, I want to thank you that you invite us. From the first side, Gaza, like Shema say, is a strip. And we have a lot of civilians people and terrorists that live together. We need to make the difference between civilians and terrorists. It's not simple. So we need to...
Is there any code? They are with clothes of terrorists and the other ones are with clothes of civil. How you can distinguish between terrorist and the civil?
In the October 7, you can saw who is terrorist and who is civilians, but in Gaza you can't see.
You cannot see.
You cannot see. All the civilians and terrorists look same. They walk in the street without fear. They look in our eyes and they know that they can't die in this moment, but they not fear.
So you cannot separate a terrorist from a civilian. You cannot. You don't. They don't fight you like an army. They fight you like civilians. You turn your back to them, and then they can shoot you.
Yeah. We do everything that the civilians don't come close to us. We save the distance from them, and we work hard. In Gaza, we destroy their buildings, their base, their train base, and we almost all the time, all what we do is to search the kidnaps.
So, big part of your time you are searching for to find the kidnapped from 7th of October. That still we have in Gaza Strip 109 people that are in the hands of Hamas. And this is something that the world is forgetting and start to forget also the 7th of October.
This is the first target in our this war. Nobody in Israel don't want this war, don't want to fight in Gaza. It's not fun, but we have to.
It's very important to hear this from a soldier that is in Gaza, was in Gaza, and the truth is that nobody wants this war. Israel didn't start this war. On 6th of October, there was no war in the region, and the war started in 7th of October, and no soldier want to be there. As we hear Erez here, it's not fun to be there. We know it, Shema know it, I know it. Amitay, what's your view about all this situation and this complexity of being in Gaza and had to deal with one side the human part and the other side the war?
It's very hard situation. It's very complicated. But the Israeli army, IDF army, it's very training to fight, but not fight like this. When you go into Gaza, you need to make a difference when to terrorists and civilian people in Gaza. And I do like this because you don't know who is civilian and who is terrorist. And you need to search a kidnappings. You cannot get in there and bomb everything. You need to be careful.
So it is a very tricky situation to be there in the day by day. And are you afraid when you are there? Because you don't know with whom you are dealing. So what is your feeling being there?
I've been in adrenaline all the time, and I feel it's a big mission, and I have a lot of motivation. So I don't feel afraid. I feel proud to be there and to be a part of all this war, to find the kidnappings. So I don't feel afraid.
So the mission is so important that you leave yourself out of the Gaza Strip, and when you go inside you have to stick to the mission and to find all the people, the Israelis and the other nations, people that are still in the hand of Hamas. We know that there is not only Israeli, there are Americans, there are other parts of the world, people that are there still, and it's a strange thing to see that, as Shema said, in some situation in Europe, in the States, people demonstrate for the Hamas when they have brothers and sisters from their own countries
exactly
that are hostages at the hand of Hamas, and they support it. It's like we always say here also, that we see LGBTK plus that support Hamas, and we know what will be their end if they will be in the Gaza Strip.
Exactly. You know, it's not just a catch-22. I will say it's a cognitive dissonance. It doesn't make sense. For example, I saw a demonstration in the United States, gays, okay, in the universities, support the Hamas. For sure, they don't know that if they will fall on the hands of the Hamas, they will be killed immediately. They will be the first to be killed, okay? So something in the Western world, education and even ideology must be changed. I was sure that after October the 7th it will happen, but it's not happened yet. It's not happened yet. We need to put more attention to educate the young generation all over the world, not just the Western world, who is the bad and who is the good. Okay, to split it. And even in the Palestinian territories, if you will open the books, children in the school, okay, elementary school, they teach them that the Jewish people are bad and they are demons, whatever you want. Okay, now it doesn't make sense. If you wish to have some kind of a peace, let's say, in the next generation, you need to start with the children. But as I said several times, I don't think that in our generation there will be any kind of a real peace between us and the Palestinians. It could be some kind of an agreement A, agreement B, but a real peace is very hard to think that it will be. Not in the next generation. It's a generation 25, 30 years. Okay, because the young people in the Palestinian territories are educated to hate Jewish, to hate Israel, etc., etc., etc.
You mentioned that we are talking about the war between good and bad. And some of the people in the good side are confused. I said that Israel is a bumper today because we are the first target, but we are not the last.
We are not the last.
We also said, and we hear Hamas and Iran and all these extreme Muslims said that they are looking for Saturday first, and then they will go after Sunday.
Exactly. If somebody in the Western world, Europe, United States, etc., Australia, think that Israel is the last, let's say, target for them, they are totally wrong. I'm not going to guess or to predict what will happen, but in my opinion, when Iran is if we wish to analyze where is the problem, the main problem, the pillar of the problem is Iran. Okay, because Hamas and Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad, they are the proxy of Iran. Iran will tell them what to do, when to do, and against whom. And I'm sure that if Iran will have a nuclear weapon, and by the way that the Western world behave now, they will have a nuclear weapon because neither the United States or Europe not doing enough to avoid it. So probably they will have it. I'm not sure that Israel will be the first target. It's very, risky to say something like that. I'm not sure that if they will have if Iran will have the nuclear weapon, I'm not sure that Israel will be the first target.
Who is going to be?
It will be, it will be one of the Arab countries from the Sunni side that's in the West, which support the Western world. I think that even in Europe, they need to be very, very careful now and to be worried. Israel can protect itself in a very efficient way. You can see it. We have the Iron Dome, we have the Aero 1, Aero 2, Aero 3. I'm not sure that the other Western world have something like that. And this is why everybody now are looking, in a very careful way what Israel is doing. And again, I don't want to predict, but after this war, you will see that a lot of European countries will buy weapons from Israel. You will see it. You can see it now, even.
Yes.
Yeah.
Defensive
weapon,
systems,
of course.
Yes.
Defensive system. Listen, everything is connected to everything. It's not Israel-Palestinian. When you say Israel-Palestinian, then there you have the war with Russia and Ukraine. Everything is connected because we are a global. We live in a global world. Okay. So everything is in huge, not synergy, but synergy is the best word that I can find now to describe it.
So you mentioned that maybe one of the Arab countries will be attacked by Iran.
Yeah.
It's important to explain. Iran is not Arab country, it's a Persic
exactly.
country. Iran is Shiite In the Muslim religion, we have two parts, the Shiites and the Sunnis. And Iran is Shiite, and if we take another big force in the area, that it's Saudi Arabia, that it's Sunnite.
It's Sunni.
They are very afraid from what can happen with Iran if there will be a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran. So the region is more complex than only Israel. They put Israel like a flag, like a target, but be sure that this is not the end of the war. This is the beginning of a war. And it's important to know that this is the reason that today all the South Arabic Peninsula, from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and all of them, in a way supports Israel and help to defend Israel because their own living interest.
You defined it very well, I must admit. Let's take, for example, in April, Iran attacked Israel by 350 heavy missiles. Now, Israel, of course, we have the ability to defend ourselves, but still, we got a lot of help from United States, from UK, from France, and well, I wasn't there, I'm not a pilot, but if you can read the newspaper, even by Saudi Arabia and Jordan. Now, there are Arab countries and they help Israel because they know that if Israel will be weak against Iran, Iran will come against them. So this is why there is some kind of a sharing of interest. And you need to think not just, you know what, usually people think, okay, the Middle East, it's not just the Middle East now, it's the entire world. But the Middle East is in the news because everything is happening now in the Middle East. United States, I think if I will analyze the trends, the global trends, I think you can see that we are starting to be two blocks. United States leading the Western bloc, and in this you can see UK, Israel, Europe, and so on and so on. And then you have Russia and China in the other side, with Iran and Syria and so on. So I don't want to use the word competition because this is not the best way to describe it, but now if I will use a marketing terminology, I will see each one of these leaders of the bloc wish to get a competitive advantage, a global competitive advantage. And Israel is a major part in the US pillar.
So, as we see, it will be still for a long time a complicated situation and no solution for the near future?
Well, usually I'm very optimistic, but not regarding this issue. I don't think that there will be a good solution, not for Gaza, for sure, and not with the Palestinian, in general, but even in the global aspect. Even the global aspect, the world is, and you can analyze the trend now. The world is not going to a good place. Not going to a good place, and we need to prepare ourselves. We need to have a lot of coalitions with the entire Western world. We need to be very well prepared, military, and even from the diplomatic point of view. Okay, so it's not easy to be the Prime Minister of Israel, and it's not easy to be the President of the United States too.
Yes, we will have elections, and we know it, and the fight will be in November. Anyway, I want to go back a little bit to the human part of this war. We know that it's a very big question around the world, and people said a lot of things about the army, Israel, and all of this. Some of them, as I said here, forgot about 7th of October and why we are in war and how everything happened. And even strangely, all what we saw of atrocities in this day in a way, people think that because it happened with Israel, it's okay. And then I want to ask you, Amitai, I know 7th of September was a day that you had the story of being in a festive day in Jerusalem where you live, and from the moment of starting the sirens and the bombs, tell us a little bit about this day, what you saw in this day, what you feel about this 7th of October that we cannot forget.
Okay, like you say, in 7 October, I'm in my home. It's a Simchat Torah holiday. And I wake up in the morning to rocket and siren. And my commander, it's Captain Moshe Tamir, called me and said to me, Amitai, we have a big miss in the south. We don't know what, but maybe we're going to jump down to the south to help. I said to him, okay, I'm ready, come to take me. I take a uniform, pants and shirt, and we start the drive to the south. The first area we come, it's junction Shuva, Tzomet Shuva. And my commander go to talk is their commander with the captain. And I see in the left, in the car, in the road, I see a lot of injured soldiers and civilians. So I jump in the car and start to do a car medic. I'm a combat medic. And this is the first time I see children died in the bag. But children, maybe 6 or 7.
So in this moment you saw injured people, civilians, soldiers, children, old people, everybody on the streets.
Yeah, on the road.
On the roads. And you as a medic, paramedic,
Combat medic.
You had to help to try to keep them alive wherever you could, and to take dead people in your hands outside of.
Exactly. This is what I do. I start to stop bleeding with a cat or a push pressure. And after 10 minutes, my commander come back and say to me, Amitai, come to car, we need to go to Reim parking.
Reim parking was where the Nova Festival happened.
Yes. Exactly. So we start to drive to Reim parking, and on the way we have a lot of fire shoot with the terrorists. So we going down in car, fight, and go back to drive to Reim parking. This is our mission. We need to go to Reim parking, and we don't know what happened in Reim parking, but this is our mission. And we come to Reim parking. My friend is the driver of my commander. Is parking front the bomb shielder. My commander going to open this bomb shielder, and we open and we see a 4 dead body.
4 dead bodies.
4 dead body. 1 woman and 3 boys dead. A lot of blood everywhere. And when we go out in the bomb shelter and we look right, we see maybe 13 dead bodies everywhere. And someone, officer being the Nova, come to us and say, look, we have a lot of terrorists in Be'eri forest, and we have a lot of dead body here. So the terrorists want to come back in Gaza and take with them a dead body. And we understand the mission, so the power is split to 2. 1, fighting in Yar Be'eri, or waiting to terrorists come and fight with them. And the second team, we start to protect the dead bodies, so take them to safe area.
So you had to protect dead bodies because Hamas not only took live people to Gaza, also took dead bodies. For them, it's also a tool of bargaining.
Exactly. And we start to take a dead body from the hand, legs. Wherever dead bodies don't have a leg or hands because the Hamas do a terrible thing there. I take a woman without a face. The Hamas destroyed his face. And we start to take. Me and my commander take maybe 30, 13 body in our end. And we take them to the Festival Nova area in the stage up there. And when we go there to put the body and we see more 115 dead body. And the dead body be everywhere, in the car, in the bomb shelter, behind the wood. In the all situation deaths, burned, slut, cut, everything. It's be a very terrible way.
How do you feel in a situation like this? Do you act in such a situation?
In a situation like this, I act automatically. I don't think. I just take them. I understand the mission. I understand it's been there. Something terrible happened. But you're like a robot. You don't have a mind, you don't have nothing, like a robot. After you start to think about what happened. But in this scenario, like a robot.
And you were injured in this area when it was?
I am injured twice. Actually, after the Festival Nova, we've been in Re'im and Be'eri, and we clear all the area. We go into house to clear from terrorists, or if we have a civilian to take him out, save them. And also in Re'im and Be'eri, we see a lot of terrorists and a lot of civilians dead. And what I said before about civilian people in Gaza. In Gaza, I go into some home. I see a big home, palace home, and we see a passport of doctor in Gaza, and we see there. We find a weapon. We find grenade. I have this in video. I filmed this with my GoPro. A grenade, uniform, IDF uniform, and the radio.
In a house of a doctor, a medical doctor.
The medical doctor in Gaza, in Khan Yunis.
A civilian, supposedly.
Yeah.
In Khan Yunis, in his house, you see weapon, you see uniforms.
Grenade.
So it is, again, the question how we can distinguish between civilians and terrorists, and how we can afterward try to explain that not all the civilians are so innocent as the world want to design. So we have a little bit of this human side that it's very difficult to understand, and it's very difficult to explain to anybody, because everybody said, look how many thousands of people died in Gaza. Moshe, you have some of the numbers of how many people killed, and what is the balance between civilians and terrorists? What are numbers that we can imagine that are...
Yeah, well, as Erez and Amitay just told us, it's very hard to fight in Gaza, and they are fighters, both of them. And it's very hard during such a battle to recognize immediately who is a civilian and who is a terrorist, because they are mixed together all the time. And many of the civilians support the terrorists. And they give them the ability to hide among them. And the Hamas itself, and we saw it all the time, put children in the front and they hide behind the children. Okay? So I don't want even to think how the IDF fighters are dealing with that, because for them, for sure, it's very difficult. Even to see a child in a battlefield. It's not easy to do it. Regarding the proportion, as we can see all the time in the news and all the reports, more than 40,000 terrorists and people from Gaza were killed in this war. Okay, but you mentioned that Israel didn't start this war. We didn't want to go to a war. Okay, we didn't start it. But this is what happened when you start a war against Israel. And I think, or I wish, that the entire world or the entire Israeli enemy will look at Gaza and they will see what's happened to Gaza, because Gaza is destroyed. And they will be very careful to handle or to attack Israel from now on. Now Israel, and we have to face it, we did a mistake in October the 7th, but we fixed it immediately. Since October the 8th, we are operating very well. The IDF and even the civilian people in Israel, react very well. We are not afraid in Israel. We fight. Even the civilian, when the civilian areas in Israel are acting, go to work, to school, to university, it's some kind of fighting, another way of fighting, and we are doing it in a very well way. Regarding back to Gaza, I wish to say something like, from a humanitarian point of view, IDF or Tzal try to I would say, not just to split, but to put all the civilians in a very safe territory all the time. So we send them messages, go to point A, go to point B. In this area, you are not going to bomb. Here you are safe, and so on. Most of the Gaza civilians are doing that, follow the orders of IDF. Not all of them, most of them. Those who remain in the battlefield probably will get hurt. Okay? So nobody can blame Israel that we are not doing everything we can in order to protect the civilians or to give them some good humanitarian solutions.
And although this region, this area, this Gaza Strip, that it's a very difficult area to do war, it's the lowest rate between military and civilian casualties. If we look on any war, the US in Iraq, US Taliban, I don't talk about Russia, Ukraine, and
or the Second World War.
Second World War, if we say a lot, but a big proportion of civilians were killed to get to the target of finishing the war. And people forget about this, mainly forget about something that happened 80 years ago, that is the Second World War, Dresden and other places, with a lot of civilians killed, even Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So people forget about what happened in the world in the last decades, and it seems to be that only because you have some flags, some nice flags to carry, you want to blame somebody, and then all the blame is on this.
Yes, it's very easy to blame Israel because, as I mentioned, we are just one Jewish country and there are 57 Muslim countries in the world. Okay? So the numbers are against us. But this is the quantity. So we need to get, I would say, a competitive advantage in the quality, which we have. If you will ask Erez or Amitay or myself, are we happy to see a Palestinian child killed? No, we are not happy. I don't want to see any Palestinian killed, of course not children, for sure. But in such a war, especially in Gaza, you cannot avoid it 100%. I can tell you for sure, IDF is doing the best in order to avoid harming civilians. Doing the best, and we are doing very well, okay? But still, if I can, not a guess, but if I can predict something, it will be 50-50. Among those 40,000 people that were killed in Gaza, at least, not less than 20,000 are terrorists. Okay?
And people forget about this.
Exactly. And people say, 40,000. But the 40,000, most of them are terrorists.
Exactly.
And show me one country, before she bomb area, she tell the civilian, we're going to bomb this area, please move. Israel is the most humanitarian country in the world.
About this, I want to ask Erez that your job in this war was to destroy by bombing some of the command centers of Hamas, some of the buildings, and this is part of your job in this war. How do you act when you go to finish or to do the job to destroy the building with the people over there? Tell us a little bit about this job and tell us a little bit about your story there. Because in two occasions, one almost you are not with us anymore and the other one that you were injured. Tell us a little bit how difficult it is to be a soldier in this mission.
In every buildings or a house or schools that we destroyed, the Hamas put a lot of weapon and a lot of paper about Hamas and IDF in school. When we get into any place like this and we need to destroy this, we have another gdud, another unit,
another battalion.
that clean the big area.
So they take out all the civilians of the region and they clean all the area. So when you are bombing something, it won't have any people over there.
No. I never bomb a building with people inside. First of all, because I need to get in the buildings and put the bomb in my hand. And I can't do this with terrorists or civilians in the building. So no, we don't kill terrorists like this. We destroyed their house. We found a place. We put a lot of bomb, and then all of us go outside and destroy the building, like in bottom. In 14 December, we was in the way to building in Khan Yunis, and we get into Ma'arav.
To
ambush. Yeah.
Yes.
And we saw 25 Nukhba terrorists. It's like the commando of Hamas. They waiting for us with RPG, with weapon, with grenade, with bomb, with everything. They know that we're coming. And one of the terrorists success to put a bomb on my tank with my team. And the solution is one good friend died in this situation. His name is Oz Aradi, Zichrono Livracha, rest in peace. And I injured. I arrived to Soroka in helicopter. I injured in 2 legs, in my face, in my ear.
So you are in the mission of destroying some of the buildings of Hamas, of where there were weapons and arms and everything. And one of the terrorists just came, put a bomb, explode the bomb on you and your team.
Yeah.
And you lost your friend, and then you were injured in both legs.
Yeah.
And
I almost lost my left leg. It's take 3 months to
recover.
To heal it.
to heal it. In hospital. I was in hospital 4 months in the south and the north. And we have a soul injured.
The so injured is the most difficult.
Yeah, the physical it's gonna be okay, but the soul it's more difficult. The recovery it's more longest.
How your family deals with this situation? How was everything?
It's funny that you're asking. Me and my family from north, from Kiryat Shmona. So we don't have was in our home since I'm from one from October. My family the end of October.
So 1st of October, when you went to the army back, you never got back to your house in Kiryat Shmona.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. And now all my family and all the North civilians from Kiryat Shmona until Shlomi and Rosh Hanikra, it's like 40,000 people lives in hotel.
Are refugees in Israel?
Yeah.
So in Israel we have also this situation that a lot of people in the north and also in the south are out of their houses from 7th of October. More than 10 months people are out of their houses, living in other places, cannot have their lives, and are refugees inside Israel. And this side of the war, I think a lot of people even don't imagine that it exists. And it's important to know there is the human part also in Israel, not only in the Gaza Strip.
You know, every day I saw a video in the news and YouTube that Nasrallah and Hezbollah destroyed the north. Destroyed my neighborhood, destroyed my school, destroyed the mall, destroyed all the beautiful place in the north. It's the beautiful place in Israel, I think. And just destroyed day after day after day. And it's another problem because we have a lot of war now. We have in Gaza, we have in the north, we have in Iran, and we have מלחמה חברתית.
Social problem because of these refugees in the country.
Yeah.
It's a social problem too. They cannot work, they cannot study. There are schools now to open in this week.
Yeah, September the 1st.
September the 1st, and people don't know whether they will send their children, where to, if the school is going to be open, mainly in Kiryat Shmona, where is your city, one of the worst places, attacks that we have in Israel.
And just last week, the government tell us that we maybe, not sure, maybe will back to our home in the next August. Maybe.
1 year from
Yeah,
now.
maybe.
August 2025.
Yeah.
So amazing. And about this, Moshe, how many missiles and bombs Israel got in the last 10 months from Lebanon, Hezbollah, and from Gaza, and not considering 14 of April from Iran.
You know, it's very even difficult to think about it, but Israel is fighting in several fronts, okay, because we were attacked from several fronts. October the 7th, we were attacked from Gaza, we were attacked from the Hezbollah in Lebanon, we were attacked from Iran, we were attacked from Teman by the Houthis, okay? So listen, to fight or to have a war against 4 fronts in one time, it's not easy. They launch, I think, they launch against civilian targets in Israel, and I emphasize civilian targets, schools, hospitals, whatever you want.
Synagogues.
Thousands of missiles against Israel, not against military bases or military targets. They launch missiles against civilian targets. Okay? So when somebody wishes to criticize Israel, I wish to tell him, come to Israel, be in Sderot for 1 week, live there, and when you will feel what is the feeling that in the morning you get a missile on your head by the Hamas, then you will get the permission to say something that's criticize Israel. You cannot criticize Israel whatsoever because we are fighting for our life. That's it.
Yes, it is difficult because always there are both sides, and in war nobody wins, everybody loses.
Exactly. It's a lose-lose situation.
Lose-lose situation. I would like to finish because our time is finishing, and I would like a word from each one of you. Maybe some hope for the future, for the world, for the next generations. Can we see a light in the end of the tunnel? Erez.
I think that our best weapon to the Jewish nation in the world, only if we really be together and stop the hate between us, just like that we can win every country and every army and every terrorist in the world. It's only if you be in peace between us.
Amitay?
First of all, I want to say thank you. And I want to say the Israeli nation is the most strong nation in the world. I be here and I see every nation in US, in Europe, in the South America, and I see a very strong nation. And this nation, together, going to win is this war. And we have a very strong army. We have a strong soldier and very strong civilian and very, very strong nation. So together we will be win.
Moshe.
I will take it from another angle. Okay, of course, we know that the Jewish nation is a very strong one. We have the support of the diaspora. The Jewish diaspora are very well supportive of Israel. I will take it from another angle. We don't leave any wounded behind. Every soldier that are wounded in Gaza or any other place against the Hezbollah comes to Beit Halochem, and they will get treatment for the entire life. When a soldier, a veteran, will leave the hospital, he will come to Beit Halochem for the entire life, and they will get everything in order to give him the ability to come back to life and to have a quality of life. So this is one of the strength points of Israel, having such an organization which we call Beit Halochem.
And only to tell to our audience a little bit about Beit Halochem. Beit Halochem is the organization that recovers and help to bring back to life all wounded soldiers. all wounded soldiers, Jews, Muslims, Christians, Druze, any kind of wounded that has to be recovered, get all the treatment and all the help and all the technology that Israeli health system and Beit Halochem system in 4 centers of recovery that we have in Israel, in Haifa, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Beersheba. And unfortunately, Beit Halochem is now building the 5th unit in Ashdod to get and to help all people that are fighting, don't want to fight, want to live, but are fighting, get wounded in the war like Amitay and Erez here, and get them back to life. And not only physically, also mentally. We have this big issue today in Israel, we call it PTSD, that it's the post-trauma of a war. And Israel, with all technologies and all knowledge, is helping and working very hard to try to get back to a day-by-day life, to a peaceful life. And I will finish here, not only with this important work of Beit Halochem. I will finish here with what you started. It's a war between evil and good. It's a war between people that want peace, that bring to the world technology, knowledge, Nobel Prizes, health, everything for the good human life. And from the other side, we see it not only in the Middle East. We see it today in Europe, we see it in the United States, we see it in a lot of other countries, a lot of other places that there are war. Not only in Israel there is war. And we see there hate. We see there only people that want to kill, that want to harm, that want to destroy. So it's a side of who want to build the world against a side who want to destroy the world. And sometimes we have to stop and to think a little bit which side we are. What the hell we are thinking of to get to our children's, to get to our grandchildren's? What world we want that they will live in? We want a world of peace. We want a world of love. We don't want hate. I hope that you will have a safe trip back home. I hope that you won't need again to go to Gaza and to any other war. And what I can wish to all of us, it's peace.
Thank you.
Amen. Obrigado.
Avi, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.